Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. This is gonna be a Nicholai one with the ultimate creature build using the new abilities he has. Now I'm gonna quickly go over here. You can pause the video if you want to see better. So I'm essentially using all the new stuff here. I'm using the extermination for the nemesis, where he gets the invincibility on the grenade launcher. And you see I'm using there the 2 reactors on the equipment. The quick setup of the guns and the cooling fan level 2 there. Now, if you want to not use cooling fan level 2, I would always stick with the cooling fan, because there's good teams that will always shoot your cameras. So if you don't have cooling fan, you're kind of you can't really fight back, that much. So that's why I like the cooling fan, at least level really for the really good teams. But against the not so good teams, you probably don't even need cooling fan. And what you could use instead is the fresh blood. So definitely you could use fresh blood instead of cooling fan there. So the zombies will grab them more often. That's kind of key. So they cannot just ignore the zombies. They're gonna get grabbed. Also, because it combines very well with the machine gun, as you will see here. I have, I think, 3 matches on this video, so you guys can see this build very well. You'll be able to see it very well. This build is it feels a little broken, to be honest. But you see on the deck there, I had the reactor for more energy as well, besides the 2 reactors that I'm already using in my equipment. Let me go over a little bit on the passive. So the passives I'm using, obviously the one where he spawns creatures every time he uses a firearm card. And the other passive is the one where they get marked if they get attacked by any creature, which is kind of what's going to happen. So that's why I have it there, but it really doesn't matter. I mean, if you want to use the one that marks where they're low on health or infected, it really doesn't matter. It's up to you there. If you want Nemesis to go even faster, you could use the one where, he gets faster. Nemesis recharges faster when they're marked. If you want to use that, it don't matter. But I personally would always go with extermination, because the good teams are going to have flashbangs and just going to stun your Nemesis for ages. So you need to have the extermination there. So right, this is why I have the machine gun on the deck. Machine gun is really your killing weapon here. You don't need anything else. Everything else is really just to spawn the creatures. And of course, you can always at any time control the creatures yourself and do some damage that way. The dogs are really the most annoying part. Kind of funny. You see right there, it's kind of funny too, because they just keep grabbing. If they ignore the dogs, they just keep getting grabbed. And the dogs are also really hard to shoot, especially with the berserker rounds on them. And you see, because of my mod there, the green mod, I also get energy so quickly as well. So you're always gonna have energy, because everything's so cheap. Only costs 1 point, and you also have the energy leech, where your creatures will also be giving you more energy. So energy is kind of not a problem. See there again, the dog just keeps grabbing them. It's so funny. And it's like dogs everywhere. You see the Jen is already dead because of the machine gun that I shot her earlier, plus the dogs biting her. So it's kind of funny. You see they're already retreating there, back to the start. And I could be spawning more creatures here, but I'm kind of holding off, because I want to spawn them at the right moment, because otherwise it's just going to shoot them on the door there, so the invincibility door. So there's no real reason for me to spawn the creatures at this moment. I need them to get out of the safe room first. And really the idea is, I mean, just spawn as many creatures as you can. And you're constantly spawning creatures and buffing your creatures. And at any given moment, when you see an opportunity, you want to control the creature so you can dish out more damage. Because obviously you're going to be more effective than the AI can do. So, and the reason why I don't have 3 mods is so I can combo the machine gun with the air cannon, like I'm doing right here, or with the immobilizing rounds. And that way you can kind of get a free kill that way as well. You can also combo the immobilizing round with the creatures itself, or the air cannon for that matter. Because it stuns them, so you can just control the creature at that point and hit them while they're still stunned or immobilized. And you see the way you're just like constantly spawning creatures. It's so good when you get the armored one, the cashier. Those are really good too when they come up. But it's mostly dogs, but it's fine though, because the dogs spread the infection. They usually tend to ignore the dogs, so the dogs get some free bites. And if you have the energy leech, you get free energy that way as well. You always want to spawn creatures on the area beforehand, right? And you see right there, she uses the power, so I can't really do much. The Becca, she's also shooting my camera here. And this is why I have the cooling fan, because the good survivors are gonna shoot your cameras. So that's why you see, if I don't have cooling fan at this moment, I would still be recovering on this camera, and I can't really do much. This entire zone here would be lost essentially. So that's why I have the cooling fan there. I think it's kind of key. Although it would be very good if you could use the fresh blood somewhere there. Arguably, you could even not use as many reactors, but I think works best when you have this many amount of reactors. Cause you kind of run out of energy because you're constantly spawning everything. So right here, I'm not really like trying super hard to win because you know, it's like so easy. Like they're already out of time. You know, it's like because right here I could just wait for the machine gun, for example, and it would be so much more effective. And you see, like I said, the machine gun is your killing weapon. You know, you don't need any other weapon here. You really just want to get the machine gun. Anything else is going to be done by the creatures or you controlling the creatures yourself. Usually, despite the spam of the creatures, they usually end up like wasting a lot of time. Despite the amount of creatures, because they get bitten, you know, you're also constantly shooting them with the machine gun. So here's a good example. Like you notice, I'm also using the discount there for the firearms. So everything is kind of. You see, right? This is a trick as well. You always want to zoom in the camera before you activate an automatic weapon, because it makes the speed faster. It's like if you were using that equipment that makes the camera rotate faster, you know, but without actually using it, just from zooming in alone. Because the AI doesn't matter, the zoom is always going to hit the target, so you might as well give him more speed, right? That was a miss right there, fortunately. But like I said, like I'm not really trying super hard because it's obviously I'm gonna win this game. There's nothing they can do anymore. This build is I feel it's a little broken. I mean, the way you could beat this build is really just to ignore the creatures as much as you can. But the way I break that strategy is by having the machine gun with the immobilized rounds as well as the air cannon, because that's gonna be your kill factor, you know. Because the creatures alone, they're not gonna kill the survivors that much unless they're really bad. But if you have the machine gun ready there, every time a zombie grabs them, you know, or they immobilized by any means, you can just use the card there on the machine gun and just get a free kill that way. You see right there, that's why I use extermination, because they're always going to use flashbangs on your nemesis, so you might as well, you know, have them be useful instead of being stunned the entire duration. I think it's worth more to have the invincibility there than having the faster recharge from the marking, the tracking. You see again, like 2 kills already. The damage on the rocket launcher also increases with the extermination passive, which is so good. You can pretty much guarantee kills that way. And you see, just like that, if they don't die to the creatures itself or the time, you know, the machine guns and whatnot, like Nemesis will finish the job. Like this is not like an Area 3 build that things are gonna go, you know, they're gonna go bad a lot sooner. Another thing you can do, I'm gonna do this on another game, but I don't feel like it makes that big of a difference. You could change the maybe against the good teams it would, but you can change the green mod that I'm using there for the mod where it makes the bioweapon recharge faster, which is that little blue one. I think it's called power limiter or something like that. You can use that one instead of the green one, because the green one really, you know, it increases your energy, sure, but it's really not by that much, you know, to the point where you could possibly get away with not using it. Just those 2 reactors already make like a 20% difference, I believe, on your energy recharge. So that's pretty good. And I think in one of the matches I will switch the green mod for the power limiter one so you guys can see. But I mean, because like you see, Nemesis is not really that big of a factor, because the creatures and the machine gun itself already do the job, as well as the buffs and everything. So, you know, the clone right there, I have the clone on the deck. It's simply so I can reuse cards when I need to. For example, the machine gun itself, because it's only one card. You know, the machine, like I said, the machine gun is like the biggest factor there in terms of killing. So you want to get there as much as you can. So by having the what's it called, the clone there, if I get the machine gun, I can immediately use it again if I want to. Or I know maybe I miss an immobilizing shot, but I need to use it again. I can use the clone for that, or the air cannon. You know, you can kind of strategically combo in a row, like using the same cards by having the clone there. So I think it's kind of key as well, instead of having to rotate the entire deck before you get your machine gun again. Another thing you could try, I mean, is even using the quick draw. Take something off there and use the quick draw. Maybe take even the mod off. No, don't use any mod. Just use the discount mod for the machine gun. For the firearms. the discount for the firearms, and just use a quick draw instead of the second mod like I'm doing here. And that way you could cycle your deck much faster. Not only will you get the clone faster, but you also get the machine gun a lot faster that way as well as the immobilized rounds and everything. So you know, the fact that you would have 3 cards open in your hand is also a very good way you could play this build. It would give you a lot more options that way, you know. But I mean, the way I'm doing right now with this deck, I'm just throwing some ideas so you guys can try if you want to. But I mean, the way I have it right now with just the overflow of energy is just, it's kind of enough already, you know. You don't need to think that hard. I don't know though. We'll see if we get a team that actually knows what they're doing. I mean, they're really like super try hard and they actually manage to deal with this. But like I said, most of the time, because if they stop to shoot the cameras, for the most part, the creatures are gonna mow them down. If they're, especially if they're close enough, right? The creatures, and keep in mind, you can also always control the creatures yourself. So if there's a creature nearby and he's just like doing nothing, you see, like I'm doing right now. This match is a good example. Like when you're actually controlling the creatures yourself. I noticed the Jill was alone, so that's why I controlled the creature and I went after her. And you see right here as well, you can combo the immobilize around with the creatures itself, if you need to. You can get free bites and whatnot, so do some damage. You can bite them yourself, like I'm doing here, and then you can go back to the camera. And if you have the machine gun ready, it's pretty much a free kill at that point. So that's why you don't like super need the fresh blood in here. The cooling fan could make a bigger difference. You can see right here again, like I mentioned, the machine gun is really the killing factor here. I don't think you need to use any more. I mean, you could technically use more guns, but I just rather have the creatures there, you know, be able to span. Because if you're using like the, I don't know, the high caliber, for example, rifle is going to be expensive. So despite the discount, so it makes it harder for you to keep cycling everything. Just the air cannon and the immobilizer rounds around, and just the creatures, you know. Like right now, like they can't go through all this many creatures without getting some kind of damage, and they also cannot just stop to simply focus on the camera because there's so many creatures around. They're gonna get hit, bitten or something, you know. And that's when you just keep cycling the deck while all this is happening while you're cycling your deck. And you see right now, you can also throw them around on top of the creatures, and the creatures will bite them, do damage that way as well. And you keep cycling that way until you get the either the mobilizer round, because at that point you can control the creature and do damage yourself, or you can get the machine gun and again kind of finish the job yourself. You know, with you see right now, I can just wait for the machine gun, and she's already so damaged from all the creatures. I can just finish off with the machine gun quite easily. And also notice the special cards as well. I have 2 special cards that are guns. So if they keep going through the areas, I'll be able to also have more guns on my deck, which is the auto rifle, semi-auto, and the auto machine gun at 003. So even though I'm using only the machine gun, you gotta keep in mind that you still have your special cards. So there's already like 2 extra guns you're gonna have in your deck besides your machine gun alone as the match progresses. So if you're using like high caliber rifle, using the single shot rifle, the weak one, you know, and combining all that with already your so many special cards that are firearms, it might just end up being too much, you know, especially on area 3. You have so many guns to use, and pretty much they're all expensive, and you don't have many, you know, you're not getting your cheap cards that often, so you're constantly out of energy. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I mean, I just think it flows really well the way I'm playing right now. You can definitely mess with the cooling fan if you want to take it off. And you can definitely mess with the second mod that I'm using there. You definitely don't want to take the discount off, of course, but you should. But the second mod, the green one, or the one that I'm using, I think in this match right now for the Nemesis, getting Nemesis faster, the power limiter, you can definitely mess with those if you want to play around. Maybe use a quick draw, like I mentioned earlier, to cycle the deck faster if you need to or want to. If we want to get that machine gun, you know, and whatnot. Or you could even use maybe another firearm, like I said, but I don't think that's a good idea. You already have enough fire. The machine gun is all you need. And considering how fast you're cycling the deck, I mean, you're gonna be getting that machine gun very often, as you can tell by the games here. And it's really just overwhelming, man. I mean, because they have kind of not that many options, because if they shoot especially because of the berserker rounds, because the berserker rounds make the zombies, you know, much more efficient. They're faster. They're not just standing there. They're gonna go after them. They're gonna move faster. So it makes it even harder for the survivors to actually you know, stop and focus on the cameras without getting some kind of damage. Although I'm sure the good ones will always shoot the camera first before shooting the creatures. which again is when cooling fan comes into play. Because by the time they kill that creature, after shooting your camera is already going to be back in action, and you not only that, but you're going to have a shield as well. You see right here again, I'm comboing the air cannon with the machine gun. And that's why you do not want to use 3 mods in this build, because it ruins the strategy factor here of comboing the machine gun. You need to have those 2 free spaces to combo the cards. And like I said, with the quick draw idea, it could possibly work even better, but you're not going to have as much energy because you're not going to be using the green mod. But it could possibly strategically work even better because you have three free cards on your hand at all times, that you can even cycle all that many cards at once, and you definitely get a machine gun at that point. So it strategically could be even a better choice than what I'm using here. But you know, like I'm saying, just having that energy is just, you know, more than enough with the 2 reactors there. The green mod is really just fucking kind of overkill, but you know, overkill is good. And you see I kind of set up the room here already, so I don't want to spawn more creatures at this point. I just want to save my energy for later. But yeah, regardless of the creatures, you can always use the machine gun to combo with other cards. Those other 2 cards can always combo with them as well, with the creatures like I mentioned above, earlier. Sorry, you can combo with the creatures to get free bites and everything when you're using the air cannon or the immobilizer round. Now this Tyrone is using the ability where he cannot get grabbed, I can tell, and he's trying to rush. So again, this is where the immobilizer rounds, the machine gun, and the air cannon comes into play. When players like this that try to ignore the zombies instead of dealing with them, which technically would ruin your strategy, but because you can, you know, lock them down in place, that certainly does not become such of a problem. You see again, the berserker, the zombies are way more efficient. What I should have done there, instead of giving that last shot, I should have controlled the zombie, and I would have been able to reach him in time here. You see, he's just ignoring everyone. So it's fine, just cycle your deck. You see, he cannot get grabbed, like, no matter what. Just cycle your deck, and get him with the machine gun or the immobilizer rounds. Especially if they're running alone like he was doing there, it's like a free kill if you can get. Just keep cycling until you get those 2 cards in your hand with the machine gun. Right, he was trying to get the Jill, but he was like knocked back there for like ages, so I couldn't do anything. Now right here, I could have waited here again to use the immobilizer rounds, but like I said, I'm not trying hard, super hard. So again, combo with the machine gun there is not much she can do. And you see, that backup was not shooting the camera as well. Again, if she stops to shoot the camera, the creatures are just gonna mow her down, like you saw there, especially with the berserker rounds. And just like that, like they can even get through it, but like the time is always gonna be so low that you know. And you're always getting kills during all of this as well. And like simply using your combo with the machine gun already spawns creatures, so it's like it's too overwhelming, you know. And to keep in mind that like you don't even need to use those cards. If any creature at any point grabs them, during the animation of the grab, you can select your machine gun on your hand that you're holding there by itself and kill the person that way, because he's gonna be stunned on the grab animation for like, I don't know, 7 seconds. It's more than enough time for you to kill them with the machine gun to set up and everything. And that's why also you want to have the I noticed you can mess around with the cooling fan, but I did not mention you can mess around with the quick setup of the guns. It's for that reason specifically, not because it allows you to cycle your deck faster and spawn the creatures that way using the syringes and everything, but it also because it allows you, gives you that speed to combo the way everything that I just mentioned so far, you know. And without that speed, you won't be able to do this as efficiently. You see right now what I mean? Zoom the camera, and see unfortunately the camera focused on the Tyrone, but if it had focused on the Becca, she would be on the animation, and she would be dead for sure. And you see again, got grabbed like a free kill. And this is what I mean, like it's just too much, you know. Nemesis is just like an overkill on top of already so many overkill that you're going with the creatures and the guns and everything. And then you can even make if you're using the power limited there mod, you probably get Nemesis probably 1 more time than you normally would in the game, or at least earlier, you know. Definitely make quite a bit of a difference. But if they manage to get to area 1, I mean, no one got to area 3 against this build, so it's just too overwhelming. It's hard to deal with. But yeah, that's the whole idea of the build. I gave you some ideas if you want to try some variations that could possibly even work better. But yeah, that's the build. Try it out. I'm sure you're gonna win a lot of games, and I'll see you guys later. Take care.